So he's speaking about the Vedas Atfila. This is the Sulam. And the reason he's speaking about the Sulam, as the Zohar says, Dotzloisa refers to Tfila, is because the Medrash on Zois Teres HaOlah, HaOlah al Moikta. So HaOlah refers to Malchus Edom. And al Moikta, in the end, that Edom will be consumed in fire. Now, the Medrash, so the Zohar said that the Sulam is referring to Tefillah. But there's another Medrash that the Sulam is a reference to the various Golusim that Yidden will be in Golus, and each rung that the Malach, particular Malach, the Sad of that Golus ascended was a year. When it came to Malchus Edom, the fourth Malach, so the angel was climbing higher and higher and higher, and that's why Yaakov was greatly afraid. A year of Yaakov Moed. And he asked, well, it would never end. The Abisha told him that even if he will ascend, I will bring him down from there. Like the Pasuk says, even if he will ascend like an eagle, which is actually the symbol of the Roman Empire, is the eagle. So a few shilas, what's the Taich Yoshev Etzli? That Rome Yoshev Etzli. At any rate, what we're seeing from here is that there's two separate midrashim. One medrash is that the whole Indian goes on Golos, and the other, that's a medrash, or actually a combination of two midrashim. And the Zohar, which says that the Sulam is the Indian of Tefillah. So right now, he's just zeroing in and explaining the Indian of Tefillah, and explain the four rungs of the Sulam. The medrash of the four Golosim, but in Zohar, they are the four stages of Tefillah. Till Baruch She'omar, then Baruch She'omar Pesukei Etzela Masiyah, Pesukei Dezim Etzela Mayitzira, Bechas Krishma Etzela Mabriya, and Shmonesre is Atzilus. But there's also the Hamshach, he said, Baruch, not just an Aliyah as implied in the Malachim, Ba'olim, B'yodim, there's also the Hamshach, Baruch, that is Mamshich, the Inyan, Lamata, that's especially in Shmonesre, where the Eibishter fulfills the bakoshes of tefillah. There was a line in the middle of his base that Rebbe said, "We find this is all based on the mind of the Rebbe Rashab of 70 years earlier, Tafresh Nun Daled, and he says there that there's a line there we don't find anywhere else in Chassidus, and there he says, Avort, that the transition from the Hoidu, the Bitl of Meidani, to the Haidu Lahavai, which is already Havana Vasoga, and already identifying Madrege Vachulu, the bridge there is Avedis, is the unit of Korbanis and the Krishma Ktana. Krishma Ktana and Korbanis. The Rebbe said we don't find that explained or mentioned anywhere. The diuk to zero in on this, the Aveda of Elam Asiya till Psuke de Zimri. Then in his Gimel, the Rebbe connects us with a maimah of the Alter Rebbe that was just recently redeemed. The Rebbe didn't have it, and somehow the Rebbe got it. The Rebbe Rashab did have it, because it seems that the Rebbe Rashab's maimah is based on this maimah of the Alter Rebbe. A lot of the Maimorim in this Bichel have been printed, but the Rebbe says Maimorim that were never printed before. Now, who gave it to him and who had it, we don't know. At least I don't know. And as I told you very often, the Rebbe would even hold a Fabrengen and say a Maimer, because of Pidyon Shvuim, that Ksavim of the Rebbeim arrived to him. In the 60s, it happened frequently. And he said in brackets, is in Pidyon Shum of Yidin is Pidyon Shum of Torah, because Yidin and Torah are connected, Bereshis. 30 so, Shenikra Bereshis. So there he says as follows. He brings a Machlekas Aposkim, Rambam, the Ramban, whether or not Tefillah is Miderais Miderabbanan. So the majority of the Moina HaMitzvahs, the Smak and the Rashbat, they say that Tefillah is Midrabanan. The Nusach of Tefillah every day is Midrabanan. What's Midiraisa? That when a Jew needs something, as per need, he turns to the Eibush. So this is the Alter Rebbe. Yeah. It could be this, not this. I'm telling you now, the Rebbe Rashab. So it comes out then that the deraisa component of tefillah, which is I need, and you turn to the Eibishter. So this is not only shaykh to someone who's mekurev v'oimid l'fnei Hashem katzadikim. Anybody who needs, he has the obligation. Who do you turn to? You turn to the Eibishter, like a physical king that anyone can submit his request. Ad kan is the Alter Rebbe and the Rebbe Rashab. The Rebbe adds, this is b'derech efsher, very characteristic of the Rebbe, that Adarabba, it's not only that according to these days, since the mitzvah Sasei Raisa is per need to ask the Eibishter, that it also includes the Ish Pashat, it's Adarabba. Because only he has the bakoshes. The higher you're up, the tzaddikim don't have any bakoshes. So on the contrary, according to these days, the Raisa chiv of tefillah applies dafka to the meruchik, because he's a mitzias and he has needs, whereas the mekurev doesn't have needs. He's not davening midayraisa. He'll never have the opportunity to mekayim the mitzvahs. I say dayraisa. It's felt him gone. She's missing nothing. So he's bringing out. He's a mitzvah. I say dayraisa that shaykh only to who? They're pasha to it. Tefillah. Now we're up to vein stiril at the bottom of Kuf Samach Gimel. I know you have different page numbers. The is Gimel, the bottom of the page.
Bottom of 240.
240. Here we just finished saying that the Raisa Chiva Tefillah is Shaykh Dafka to the in the words of the Maamar, Alter Rebbe, the Meruchik. So this is it's not a stira to explain in Kama Mekaymes. Shetfilu Madrega Gevay Venalis Binyan Abidl. That Tefillah at its core is a very high Madrega and a great level of bittul. Kamrumas Betevas Tefillah, as is seen hinted in the very word Tefillah, Kamay HaToifel. HaToifel means to join together, Tifel Klicheres, joint, to merge. A Yid merges with the Eibishter. He doesn't mean the Mishnah, but the Mishnah talking about in Kalim. If you join together broken Keli, there's everything of a Keli or not, Makabal Tumah, but the Lashon is Toifel. Shagam, and now another Pirush, Miloshin, Tofel, a bottle, even though that's a test, and this is a tough, so they tell us to look at the Rebbe's HaOlah in the Maim of Tafshin Ches of the Friedrich Rebbe. And in that HaOlah over there, the Rebbe says, brings up the Zohar, that sometimes we find that the test and tough are exchangeable. So Tefillah is with the tough, but he's saying it's with the test, Tofel, a bottle, which means secondary nullified. So that's what tefillah is. Who achieves this level of bittul and fusion of one with the Eibush, it's the Mekodev. Not a stira. Why is it not a stira? There's two levels to tefillah. There's the general request and the specific requests. Like the Rebbe Rashab explains, this dimension of tefillah, that's not to be related to whether a person is far or close. What dimension of that is about bakashas prati dafka? Anybody can approach. There's no distinction. You have a request, you approach the king. That taka is shaykh to everyone. Where it says elsewhere, Chassidus, that tefillah, another dimension, is teifel, is attachment. Sometimes this brings life from Naftali, with Naftali. Now my husband will be Naftali Likim. It's also Lashon Tefillah. A little bit. I mean, the words are rearranged a bit. But so the Bakoshes Prati is a shaykh to everyone. Mashenkin Bakoshe Klolis Bedover Godol, but asking a big thing. As a shaykh dafkila mekurev, that's only the mekurev madrega gavoy, which is a high level. What? A small thing, shaykh to everyone. A big request is only the mekurev. But you will see in Pashtus, he means the big request. He's not asking for himself. He's asking for the welfare of the state. Huh? It's still a bakosha. It's still a bakosha.
No, but you said the idea of davening with the rice is when I have a bakosha protis, so I'm davening to Hashem. That's
when you have a bakosha. So far, when you have a request, you turn to the king. Now we be machal between bakasha pratis and bakasha klolis. But be'emes the Rebbe asks you shaila. I don't know if the Maimer, the Fabrengen later. Because there's going to be arichas about this tefillah l'osher, that he has no needs. So if he has no needs, so why is it? He's missing. He's missing. Like you're saying, he's missing. He's missing the etzim of tefillah. There should be a need. We'll see that later. I don't remember the Maimer, or I just saw the first sikh he addresses. If not in the Maimer, the answer we'll see it in the Fabrengen. And meanwhile, he doesn't even define bakasha klolis here, but lachayda it means. Right away, yeah. Meaning the tefillas osher. So this is tefillas. This thing of tefillas osher, the rich person's tefillah. Which is by the come on, like you'll explain later in Sifei. The rich person, when he davens, or he approaches the king in the moshel, not asking for himself, is not lacking anything. That means that's the dover godly. He's asking for others. The fact that they're missing affects him like he's missing. But the Rebbe is not satisfied with this answer. I'm telling you, we'll explore it further. I just want to point out this inyan of tefillas osher. It's the language of Chassidus. It's not found anywhere. It's a little bit based on the Zoya. The Zoya says tefillah la'oni is David HaMelech. The Zoya contrasts his tefillah to tefillah la'Moishe. The Zoya doesn't then say that's tefillas osher, but Chassidus only osher. We find this lashon tefillah la'osher, tefillas osher. This is often the theme of the Yud Aleph Nisan Dikim Memorim. The Nossi, who doesn't ask for himself. In fact, the second Maimer here, the second Maimer, which is Mamish, the Yud Aleph Nisan Maimer, Miz Meledovit, Sam Lachanafshi, that whole medrash. No, it's not that medrash. Yeah. That was capital what? Yeah. That year, yeah. Tavshin Lamed Aleph.
Nun Aleph. The Rebbe was 90 and turning 90.
And he was
mugged.
Lama tzech leDavid lahaskir is capital. No. You don't want to waste time here. Capital Ayin. Lama tzech leDavid lahaskir. So that year, so capital Ayin would be.
That's why the Rebbe's Mabar that. And in when Rebbe turned 70.
It's not it's a mind that begins with David Lahaskir, and it's a whole B and Kila Kimishi Itzi, and it's a medrash that connects the end of the previous.
And that's where the Rebbe asks the question in
No. The Nakud of the medrash there is that the previous end of the previous parak is asking for Klal Yisrael, a moshel for a roya that had sheep. We actually learned the Maimer by the oil years ago. A roya that had sheep, and the sheep and he protected them from the invading wolves, and brought them all back, and they saved them. And then the shepherd is not mentioned. So
he built a new house.
It's the bakosha of the shepherd. So this is in the sea Yisrael. The request. I don't say anything, but I remember the request of Nasi Yisrael. Now, what year was that? The capital Ayin was.
That's what the Rebbe explains in B'yei Mashiach Soyem when the Rebbe turned 70.
He doesn't mention.
He's Mavar 7. He's Mavar 7. In Kielakim Mashiach Tzivivne or Yehodel Masker, and that's what he says. Lam Natsayach.
At the end of that Maimon.
But I'm not saying.
The end of the Maimon. You're right. Okay, let's go further. That was later. That was a year later. A year later.
Samach Tes and Ayin.
Yeah. That Verbrengen was said when Shluchim came back. It was a short Verbrengen after Minchen. Shluchim came back from Australia. It was a short Sikha in that Maimon, which you guys learned with Zalman, if you remember. Right? Okay, let's go further. Yeah, so this is at Tefillah Klolis, that's Shaykh only take at Tefillah LaOshir, not LaOshir, Tefillas Oshir, that the Oshir is not asking for himself, but for others, but since Dech Sodom, but Dech Sodom is negated to him like he's missing. So Shinyan Zeh Shaykh Mishim Madrege Gevaya Davka, this is the higher level that Chassidus speaks about, Tefillah, Bittul, etc. But when you're asking for yourself exclusively, so the lower level is shaykh to everyone of Tefillah Deiraisa. The higher level now must be Tefillah Deiraisa. It's talking about kosher, but not about kosher for himself, but about kosher for others. This is the connection which we said before. That tefillah starts at the lowest level and reaches the highest. The ladder is the symbol that tefillah is shaykhs to everyone. Even the lightest of the light, literally. Lightweight. It's very low. It's not just on the ground, but in the ground. Eretz b'tisefes hey, the word eretz with the hey, and then which is leidak eretz stam, not just the earth, the world. Ela darga yesen mucha it's gufa, but the lowest level in the earth. Arza, earthy, not just on the earth, but earthy. Yochelhu, so that the ladder embraces him. Yochelhu yisal is besul mitfila la adrega da shemaima. He can ascend, he doesn't just stay there. He can ascend to the highest level of Hashemayim. There too, the same diak. Shemayim b'teis say, Shemayim with the extra hey. Shemayim al madrega yesa gavay b'Shemayim gufa. It's the pnimius of Shemayim within heaven. Ad madrega yesa nalz ba'alis the tefillah till he reaches the highest level. Shezoya madrega selamatzil. That's the fourth rung, which is madrega selamatzil is complete bittul. To understand the greatness of tefillah, where Yid can ascend from the lowest levels of immersed in Gashmis. All he has is Gashmis that he needs ad bechinas hashamayma to the level of Shemayma. It goes without saying that the lowest level, not talking Averis and Chatoy, which is Gashmis, he has needs. Legitimate. He needs health, he needs parnasa, he needs nachas, he needs forgiveness, he needs a lot of things. So from here, so the Nekuda is that since who's he turning to for it all? To the Eibishter, so that's the first step, higher, and that can lead the Yid, he can ascend to the highest levels. So you have to understand this Ma'ad Yesh Lahaktim Bir Achilik V'Narech Do'elam Atzil is a Gabeil Misbiyah. So the kavana is to reach the level of bittul of the fourth rung, Shomayma, which is Atzilus. To understand that, we have to first preface to appreciate the vast, incomparable state, the Ein Aroich, the incomparable level between Atzilus and Elam Mizbiyah. You now begin to explain, Kemuvim is she's Avas Elam Mizbiyah. You can understand this from the fact that the creation of Elam Mizbiyah, it's called Bria. Now, Bria, as he goes on to say, is Yesh Ma'ayin. Heichel Elam Bria, starting from the highest level, Elam Bria. Biyah does not emerge from the madreges above it in the natural process of ilah v'olul. Elo, but it's radical. Ilah v'olul is not radical. The ilah will give rise, the cause will give rise to the effect. It's a chain reaction. Atzilus is kind of ilah v'olul in a way from Adam Kadmon and the madreges previous, relative to Biyah. It's right. Atzilus is still called pure Elikus. It's Tahiri. It's Elam Ha'achdus. There isn't, compared to Biyah, at any rate, a radical change in Atzilus from the Ein Sof. Whereas Biyah is Al-B'chinas Yesh Ma'ayin. So what's the difference? Like he explains there, the Rebbe Rashab, Shebe'ilah v'olul ha'olul mishtava elo ilah. Cause and effect means that they, on some level, are equal. They share, not just they share something in common, they are equal. They are of the same order, ultimately. And there is a change in the cause as the cause evolves and becomes the ilah, like Seichel Amidus. To give rise to an emotion, so the seichel undergoes the whole process of chachma, bina, and das, and then connects to the emotion, and actually morphs into and becomes the emotion. So the seichel is changing. Hashem can be savas oilumas, but creation, yesh ma'ayin, they're incomparable. Leishayich loimish is yesh ezi shtavus. There's nothing at all that is common or equal between the creator and the created being. The created being is completely incomparable to the creator. Creation does not affect the change like ilah v'olul does. Because to create, it's the merest glimmer of the creator. Read further, we'll get more explanation. And the reflection of the source does not affect any change in the etzem in the source. So he goes into say between Oid and Shefa. And this is the reason the Mekubolim, he sent us to that Maimir. Okay. Why did the Mekubolim use, it's all metaphoric language, why did they apply the revelation of Hashem's divine energy, and they call it light, and not B'Shem Shefa, divine flow, Ashpa'ah? And they dafka did, by employing the metaphor of this answers the questions that the philosophers brought there in that Maimer. What's their question? How can you say, they argue, how can you say that God is unchanging? He created. And if he created, he's invested in it, and therefore there's a change. There's two questions. There's one question, which is not the question he's asking here. One question is, how can we say that Hashem is exclusive, the only reality after creation? That question is answered with the same answer. How can you say it in Milvadoi? There's a world. God's not the only reality. That's one question. The related question is, how can you say that God is unchanged? He is now invested himself. When you produce something, you write a book, you produce a piece of art, you're invested and it's changed you. Before you wrote it and after you wrote it. Before you painted, after you painted. There's a piece of you in that art that you hadn't expressed before. And where is it? It's in the art. It's in the thing that you did. So how can you say that God is unchanging? So the answer is in the choice of words of the Mekubolim. They got it wrong. Creation happens, yesh ma'ayin, without God's personal investure, as it were. What that means, we'll explain a little bit, but just, it's the merest ha'orah. God wills it to be, and it happens. Without getting involved, as it were. Where does it get involved? You have to say in Torah mitzvahs, in neshama. That's where God gets involved. But in creation itself, it's b'derech hamela. It's havas b'derech hamela yesh ma'ayin. He simply wills it to be, and it comes into being, and that's called a ha'ora. If they use the language light, the source is invested to produce light. The source is being a source, and light emanates. It's unchanged by the light. Doesn't change the ma'or. Hashpah, when you teach, the teacher is changed. At the end of the day, he's exhausted teaching the class. He's invested in the kids. That's hashpah. He's giving a piece of himself. But ma'or is unaffected by the or that emanates from it. And it's from this, within the or gufa, only the merest glimmer that actually is the power to create yesh ma'ayin. Let's continue the Maimon. So the philosophers ask, how can you say there's no change in God through creation? So they're comparing it again to an artist, or to a producer of something, or a teacher. The answer is creation is not that God is giving a piece of himself invested in his creation, like the artist does, like the author does, like the teacher does. Not so. That if that's what it was, then there's indeed a change in the mashpia. Before the hashpah, it's different the way before and afterwards. He's affected. He's affected by his investment in that which he produces. That's not the way creation comes into being. For Hashem to create Biyah, it's the merest glimmer. It doesn't change the etzem at all. The yoisa ha'ora ba'alma, it's only a glimmer that is incomparable completely to the etzem. Now he doesn't mention the word mo'ir. He doesn't mention mo'ir because he's talking about the Eibush himself, Taki. So at the end of the day, he's saying even this really means that even the darga of mo'ir is a ha'ora. That Hashem should give rise to the level of the luminary, the producer, the divine energy to create. That whole thing is a ha'ora. Everything. Even the mo'ir. Even this darga of mo'ir. Of Hashem being a luminary. We'll go a bit further, we'll have further explanation. This is the why in the language of Chassidus we call the creative force ayin. Yesh me'ayin. Something from nothing. It's from you. Why are we calling it ayin? Who's the true existence? It's the Eibishter. Why are we saying we have something from nothing? We have something from the true Yesh. He's the true Yesh Amiti. So why is Yesh Ma'ayin? It should be Nivre Mi Yesh Amiti. And that's what it says in most places of Chassidus. Why we call our source Ayin. Shenikra Ayin, it's called no thing. We can't grasp it. So it's no thing for us. That's why we made the word Ayin. We come from nothing, meaning no thing that we can describe or define. But this is not a sufficient answer. That only answers why it's called ayin from our perspective. So it comes out, we're not really describing our source. We're only describing the way we relate to it. And we can't, so we call it nothing. Because of our mistake, because we cannot relate to Likus, we call it no thing. That's the answer B'chalal Chassidus. So the answer B'chalal Chassidus, why we call it ayin? Be'emes it's Eibishter. We have no asog in Eibishter, so we call it nothing. That it's our Toras, our limitation. And yet, the fact that we call it Yesh Ma'ayin is Hashem, it's a name, it's a description, it's a Torah description. So ayin has to be true, not just from our limited and therefore mistaken perspective. Mistaken in that we cannot grasp Elikus and define it because it's beyond us. So it can't be that it's the term ayin is because of our limitation. Answer, Omnam kivim shebeshem zeh ayin nikra b'Torah. Since it's called yesh mayin in Torah in Chassidus, we have to say that this term is true be'emes lagabi the Eibush. It's true. It's yesh ma'ayin. And this is what he's explaining. Another place of there, but ayin ches shenikra ayin. Why could staka the creative force is ayin lagabi atzmus. If you show ora bilvad, it's nothing. It's mere as glimmer shebechinas ayin. The creative force to create biyah is the merest glimmer of the Eibishter. It's completely incomparable and has no tfisas makim means has no value, no significance. Lagabi the etzem. Somewhat clear. So what are we saying? That was summarized here. He wants to explain where we're going with all this. He wants to explain yin of tefillah, that tefillah reaches a yid, hashamayma, to the state of bittul of atzilus. And everybody shayches to it. Even the one who starts at the lowest level, arza, that the whole tefillah is personal need. To appreciate that, let's understand the gewalt of atzilus, the gabe biyah. And so far, simply what we learned, that biyah is merely comes into existence from a mir ha'orah. That's the summary. It's yesh ma'ayin, the ayin meaning the source. Why is it called nothing? Not just because we have no idea, we can't relate to it because it's beyond us, but it's ayin l'gabe atzmos. And therefore Hashem remains unchanging despite creation. It's not like a teacher, it's not like an artist, it's not like someone who makes a piece of whatever it is, that he puts a piece of himself in there, and he changes as a result of it. Tamida Yosem Mikulam. Writing the book, if you've ever written one or did anything, it changes you. Invest in something, it develops you, it changes you, it deepens you. The HaOlah and the HaOlah are intimately connected. And at the end of the day, the HaOlah actually affects the HaOlah and deepens the HaOlah. When you teach, understand the idea better yourself. That's not the way God creates. Not, as we say, God is not a creator. He's not a creator. He's the creator. The difference being not just, if you say he created, you're implying there are more than one creator. I'm not saying that. I'm saying creator means that's what he is. He's hardwired to create and he produces creation. Not so. To become a creator is a ha'ora bilvad. It's a decision. The Eibishter decided to create. And B'derech HaMelech comes, who tziva v'nivro, creation comes into being fundamentally, but it doesn't define who he is. He totally beyond creator. That's the etzem. Therefore, the role of creator is called ayin. He's saying that the boire is a madreg of ayin. It's the merest glimmer, lagabe atzmos, totally beyond creator. So helike b'shefer, I guess you say helike b'shefer, maybe you're saying that. B'shefer, creator. Helike b'shefer, you totally beyond, you decided to create. But Eibishter is totally beyond the role of creator. Where is that totally beyond the Eibishter to be found then, if not in creation? And so again, Torah mitzvahs, Andoichi, invest himself in Torah mitzvahs, in the neshama. And what does he want us to do? He wants us to reveal the etzem where in creation. The creation becomes a didela yizbarach. But till that moment, creation is ein vefes, has no value, is garnished. Till the world doesn't reflect the Eibishter, it is taka ha'orem, bottle of mitzias, and there's no value. He does a mitzvah, the dava gashmi. Oh, now it's something. Pasha begashmi is a home. What makes the home the home? It's bricks and mortar, and it's paintings. But when the couple lives there and they express themselves in the home becomes everything. It becomes them. Chas v'shalom, they leave the home is broken. It's just bricks and mortar again. Meaningless. What makes the home is because it expresses you. That's what makes it a home. So we give validity and value to creation by making it a direla yizbarach. That's why the world is telling the Jew, you're not part of creation. 100% right. Creation is a ha'orah. What's the neshama doing? The neshama is a chelik l'kam imal mamash. What are you doing over here? The answer is, we don't belong here. We're here on a shlichus to reveal Atzmusa Yisbarach Lamata and make this world a Dida of which you are a part of. Every human being. That's our shlichus, and the world is agitating now and obsessed with us. Because it's Erev Geula Mamish, and we have to, and we will, deliver the message and make the world a Dida Yisbarach, which is now in the agitation for. May it be resolved without delay. Amen.